You already know what it feels like. That moment when your head hits the pillow and instead of drifting off, your mind just fires up. Thoughts racing, body exhausted. But sleep? Nowhere to be found. And you lie there, staring at the ceiling, watching the minutes turn into hours, knowing that tomorrow is going to be brutal. That feeling is not weakness. That feeling is not just stress. That is your body sending you a signal that something deeper is wrong. And most people spend years ignoring it until the damage becomes impossible to ignore. Here is something that took sleep researchers decades to fully understand. Poor sleep is not just a nighttime problem. It is a full-life problem. And the second you start treating it like one, everything changes. Before we go any further, there is a program linked in the description below this video. It goes far deeper than anything I can cover here. And honestly, if sleep has been an issue for you for more than a few weeks, you probably need more than just tips. You need a real system. But most people scrolling past that link will tell themselves they will check it out later. And later never comes. So if you are serious about finally fixing this, do not wait until the end of this video. The people who transform their sleep are the ones who decide right now, not eventually. But let us keep going, because what I am about to share with you changes the way you think about sleep forever. Sleep deprivation is sneaky. It does not announce itself dramatically. It just quietly dismantles your life piece by piece, day by day, in ways that feel almost impossible to trace back to sleep. You start forgetting things, small things at first. Where you put your keys, what someone said to you 5 minutes ago. Then bigger things. Decisions feel harder. Emotions feel closer to the surface. You get irritated over nothing and feel guilty about it afterward. And you cannot quite figure out why everything feels slightly harder than it should. Scientists who study cognitive performance have found that operating on consistently poor sleep is cognitively equivalent to being legally drunk. Think about that. You would never make important decisions, have difficult conversations, or try to be your best self while intoxicated. But that is essentially what millions of people are doing every single day without even realizing it. And here is where it gets even more unsettling. Your immune system does most of its repair work while you sleep. Growth hormone, the chemical that literally rebuilds your body, is released almost entirely during deep sleep stages. When those stages are cut short, your body falls behind on its own maintenance schedule. Studies from major research institutions have found that people who consistently sleep fewer than 6 hours per night are significantly more likely to develop serious health conditions over time, including metabolic disorders, cardiovascular issues, and chronic inflammation. You might be thinking, okay, but I function fine on 6 hours. And here is the hard truth that neuroscientists have documented repeatedly. People who are chronically sleep-deprived lose the ability to accurately assess how impaired they are. The worse your sleep, the more convinced you become that you are fine. The irony is devastating. Now let us talk about what is actually keeping you awake, because this is where most sleep advice gets it completely wrong. Most people assume that sleeplessness is about not being tired enough, or using their phone too much, or drinking coffee too late, and yes, those things matter. But the real reason so many people cannot sleep goes much deeper than habits. It is about your nervous system. Specifically, it is about whether your nervous system feels safe enough to let go. Your body has two modes, a threat mode and a rest mode. In threat mode, cortisol rises, heart rate increases, your mind becomes hyper-vigilant, scanning for problems, replaying conversations, predicting future difficulties. This is designed to keep you alive in dangerous situations. The problem is that modern life, with its constant notifications, financial pressure, relationship friction, and relentless digital stimulation, keeps millions of people locked in low-level threat mode 24 hours a day. And you cannot force yourself to sleep when your nervous system believes there is danger nearby. You just cannot. So when you finally lie down and the silence arrives, your nervous system does not interpret that silence as peace. It interprets it as the moment when you finally have time to process all the threats you were too busy to deal with during the day. And that is when the ceiling staring begins. This is also why willpower does not work. You cannot discipline your way to deep sleep. You have to signal safety to your nervous system. And that requires a completely different approach than most people are using. Now I want to paint you a picture of what life looks like on the other side of this. Imagine waking up before your alarm goes off and actually feeling good about it. Not groggy, not like you need 3 cups of coffee just to string a sentence together, but genuinely rested. Clear, almost like your brain has been professionally serviced overnight and returned to you in peak condition. That clarity is not a fantasy. That is what human beings are biologically designed to experience every single morning. It is what your body is trying desperately to give you when you let it do its job properly. Research on restorative sleep shows that people who consistently achieve deep, high-quality sleep report significantly higher emotional resilience. Minor frustrations stop triggering major reactions. Anxiety levels drop measurably. The ability to think creatively, solve problems, and see situations from multiple perspectives improves dramatically. And physically, people describe feeling like a different person. Body composition shifts more easily. Energy throughout the day becomes stable, instead of crashing at 2 in the afternoon. The constant low-grade exhaustion that became background noise simply lifts. One of the most striking things that sleep researchers have documented is how quickly the transformation happens once the right conditions are created. We are not talking months. The nervous system is remarkably responsive. People who implement genuine sleep architecture changes often report noticeable differences within days, not weeks. The body wants to heal. It has been waiting for permission. Now let us go deeper into what actually works, because this is where I want to spend real time with you. The concept of sleep architecture is something that changes everything when you finally understand it. Sleep is not one continuous state. It cycles through distinct stages roughly every 90 minutes. There is light sleep, where you drift in and out and can be easily woken. There is deep sleep, where the physical restoration happens, where tissue repairs, where memory consolidates, where your immune system does its most critical work. And there is REM sleep, where emotional processing occurs, where learning gets locked in, where your brain essentially backs itself up like a computer drive completing its nightly storage cycle. When people talk about feeling unrested despite spending 8 hours in bed, it is almost always because they are not reaching adequate deep sleep and REM cycles. They are spending most of those hours hovering in light sleep, never fully going under, never getting the restorative stages their body desperately needs. The reasons for this are specific and solvable. Core body temperature needs to drop about 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit to initiate deep sleep. The stress hormone cortisol needs to be low enough to allow the brain to disengage from threat monitoring. Adenosine, the chemical your body builds up during waking hours to create sleep pressure, needs to be allowed to accumulate properly, which means not fragmenting your sleep schedule so dramatically that your body loses track of its own biological rhythm. When you align these factors deliberately, the results feel almost miraculous. But they are not miraculous. They are biological, they are predictable, and they are available to virtually everyone who creates the right conditions. Here is something that the most successful sleep transformations have in common that almost no one talks about. The hour before bed is not about winding down. It is about actively transitioning your nervous system from threat mode into safety mode. That distinction sounds subtle, but it changes everything. Winding down is passive. It is just doing less. Transitioning is active. It is deliberately communicating to your nervous system through specific physiological signals that the day is complete, that there are no more threats to monitor, that it is genuinely safe to let go. When people learn exactly how to do this, and I mean the precise sequence of environmental, physiological, and psychological signals that shift the nervous system into deep sleep mode, the results speak for themselves. People who have struggled with broken sleep for years find themselves sleeping through the night within days. People who have relied on sleep medications for extended periods discover that their body has the ability to sleep naturally when given the proper conditions. This is not about positive thinking. This is about working with your biology rather than against it. The financial and professional cost of poor sleep is also something most people never calculate. Research on workplace productivity has found that sleep-deprived employees cost their organizations staggering amounts in reduced output, increased errors, and missed opportunities. When you translate that to your personal earning potential, to the quality of decisions you make in your career, your business, your investments, the cost of poor sleep is not just physical, it is financial. The people consistently operating at their cognitive peak, the ones with energy to pursue opportunities, with clarity to spot them, with emotional stability to execute on them, that advantage compounds over time into outcomes that are genuinely different from those who are running on empty. When you finally crack the sleep code, you are not just gaining rest, you are recovering the full version of yourself, the version that was always available but buried under layers of exhaustion. And one more thing before I send you to the description, most people watching this will absorb this information, feel genuinely inspired, and then do absolutely nothing different tonight. Not because they do not want to sleep better, but because information alone never changed behavior. What changes behavior is structure, accountability, and a system that has already been designed to work for your specific situation. That program in the description exists precisely because of that gap. Because wanting better sleep and actually achieving it consistently are two completely different things. The people who are done tolerating restless nights, done waking up already defeated before the day even begins, done watching their health, their performance, and their relationships quietly erode from something completely fixable, those are the people who take action today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is exactly what sleep deprivation has already stolen enough of. The link is in the description. Go use it right now.